Like if I like it more as a dip than I do a salad dressing.
Oh, this is
Matt was having issues the other day.
I have 7 o'clock. We'll call the Shelby County Board meeting to order. This is the January 11th, 2024. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the prayer. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our precious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that we can come here, Lord, and discuss business. Lord, we pray that give us open ears and open hearts, and Lord, give us wisdom, and Lord, may our decisions be pleasing to you. Help us, Lord, to do your will with our lives. In your name we pray, amen.
Roll call, please.
Clark Henley.
Here.
Mark Bennett.
Here.
Teresa Bain. Cody Brands. Tim Brown.
Here.
Carol Cole. Julie Edwards. Here. Martha Bernhaber. Here. Clay Hardy.
Here.
Annette Martin. Here. Tad Mayhall. Keith McCormick. Tim Morse.
Here.
Lori Nelson. Here. Bobby Orman.
Here.
Sonny Ross.
Here.
Mitchell Schuff. Don Tate. Brent Wallace.
Here.
Jeremy Williams.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We have the form, thank you. Item 3 is discussion and vote to approve the minutes from the December 14th meeting. Is there a motion? Brent makes the motion. Is there a second? Mark seconds the motion. Any discussion on the minutes? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5 is discussion and vote to approve appointment of Sean Morris to fill a vacancy in County Board District 9 upon the recommendation of Republican Committee. So moved.
You skipped 4.
I'm sorry. So real quick, before we make a motion, item 4 is the announcement of District 4 resignation, Charles Davis. Sorry. So item 5 is the appointment of Sean Morris. Jeremy makes the motion. Martha seconds the motion. Discussion?
Is Sean here? Okay.
Sean is here. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sean, if you'd come up and get sworn in, please.
Repeat after me. I, Sean Marks,
I, Sean Lawrence,
having been appointed
have been appointed
to the office of Shelby County Board District 9
to the office of Shelby County Board District 9
in the County of Shelby,
in the County of Shelby,
in the state of Illinois,
in the state of Illinois,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Shelby County Board District 9
of the Shelby County Board District 9
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Item 6 is zoning administrator Scott McKee. We have a few things to vote on here. First is a resolution to rezone parcel 1001-19 -00-400-018. That is the correct number. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. It's owned by Chancer LLC. DBA is Timmy's Tours Transportation from Ag, to general business for bus storage and wash center. Number 4. Lori makes a motion to approve the resolution. Martha seconds the motion. Scott, is there anything you want to elaborate on?
No.
Any questions for Scott before we move on or take a vote? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next one is a resolution to rezone parcel 2013-17-00-20-025 owned by Chris Metzger located at 1984 State Highway 16 to general business for correction purposes.
So moved.
Jeremy makes a motion, seconded by Lori. Any discussion? Questions? Comments, Scott?
No, this is just a fix a rezoning issue that didn't get handled properly in the first place. Not a big deal at all.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Last is a resolution for variance for Gary Thompson to construct a residence of approximately 600 square feet. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Martha makes the motion. Is there a second? Jeremy seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Questions? Didn't we just approve this under 900 square feet there a couple of months ago in the zoning ordinances?
No,
We didn't?
not that I'm aware of.
I thought we did.
We talked about it.
I know we talked about it.
I do not remember if we took a vote on it.
I've never brought forth anything from the Board of Appeals about changing that in the ordinance yet.
Sorry, say that again.
I've not brought forth anything from the Board of Appeals about changing that in the ordinance. And this is my first variance.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that in committee, we discussed something about an ordinance that would allow the under 900 square feet.
Didn't we have an issue at a place in Finley, or I'm sorry, in Westerville?
The Westerville property was about the type of house that was there. That was about manufactured and modular homes.
Yeah. Okay, maybe that's what it was.
But, yeah, this is my first variance that I've been able to file with you guys so far.
Any other questions, comments? Have a motion and a second. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
Item 7 is Highway Engineers Report, Michael Tappendorf. There are several things to vote on here too as well. Michael, I'll let you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Well, to start off, just wanting to kind of give a little recap of what's been happening in 2023, the things that I know about, and I can't take credit for all of this. I have a good team that I work with, including my road and bridge and as well as the county board. But things that I know of since my start, we've assisted the committee and myself has assisted in getting the department fully staffed. We're fully staffed again and moving forward. We have reconstructed the Sigel Road. There's been the Greasy Road reconstruction, shoulder reconstruction as well. We've done the general maintenance of county highways. There's been numerous projects assisting townships throughout the county. We've progressed multiple projects for the construction of the next year's season, that being this year. Me and my team have completed multiple trainings. Thanks to the board, we have purchased a new excavator, which has been put to great use, and we really do appreciate that in the department. We've purchased some new office machines that are helping us to be more efficient as well. I've learned a lot about the county and networked with a lot of different people and gotten to know a lot of good people here in the county. The Moico Bridge was recently reconstructed. It is completely finished and operational. Our office has just applied. We haven't gotten word that we've received it yet, but we applied for about $4 million in grants in our department that we are trying for. That would include 2 bridges and some roadway reconstruction east of Finley. And next year, hopefully I'll have a better list for you guys to report on what we're getting done. But in the next year, we do intend and hope for the reconstruction of County Highway 3, which is east of Finley, towards. So, yes, thank you. And so we're working on that. Possible County Highway 5 reconstruction, which is north out of Shelbyville. Construction of 3 bridges or structures, multiple railroad crossings. There are 11 of them that are going to be in progress currently right now in the design phase, but they have a long ways to go. Design and possible construction of small drainage structures, lots of training and updating equipment as we can. So just wanted to let you guys know that is what we've been doing and what we're going to be doing hopefully in the next year. That being said, we do have the resolutions we were discussing here a little bit ago. First off was the resolution for request of ARPA funds for purchase of grader. I have a few things that I can say about that, but I'll start off with any questions, I guess, in regards to it.
I ask for a motion to, Martha makes a motion to use ARPA funds for purchase of the grader. Jeremy seconds the motion. Now we'll get into discussion. Is there any questions up front before Michael takes the floor?
This is what we already allocated for, correct? When we were in the budget meeting?
We allocated for the excavator.
So this is new.
This would be above and beyond, I believe.
Yeah, we did do, a couple months ago, we did allocate for the excavator, which we did purchase, and we have at our office
Okay.
now. And so, yes, we are also in need of a grader, and I'm just bringing that to the board's attention, and I'd like to pursue that. So,
Do we know the cost?
She asked if we had a known cost.
it's not a known cost yet. I've gotten multiple options, I guess, but $150,000 is what we are requesting at this time. A new one would be about $400,000. We're definitely not asking for a new, but we're just trying to get something that's reasonable that would work for the department.
What kind of price range are you seeing as you shop?
I have seen 130, but they go quickly. I've been told 130 to 180, and so I chose mid-range, 150 to ask. So.
How old is our current grader?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I could kind of go into. Our current grader was made in 1984. It's 40 years old, and it has excess of 12,000 hours on it when the hour meter quit working. So it has gone through some issues. This year we had to replace a turbo, which was kind of pricey, several $1,000s, and 12,000 hours on a machine is about like 750,000 miles on a machine or on a vehicle. So it's been very well taken care of to get it to this point, but it's going to only last us so long. The county used to have 2 graders, and in the past one of them has failed because of age and was no longer able to be fixed, and so it was sold or gotten rid of. So it is important to the department. I can go into duties of what it does for the department if anybody would like to know, but
Do you have your eye on a particular unit?
we don't. I have a number of manufacturers or implement dealers that I've been working with that some of them have some in stock, and then some say they'll probably have some in stock, but not a particular unit in mind yet.
Michael, you might point out how Rose Township bailed us out with their grader this summer when the Shelby County grader went down.
Correct. Our grader did go down, state of the turbo did go down, and it's getting harder and harder to find parts for the machinery that we have. CAT has basically stopped making a lot of the parts for our grader. So once it does go down, it will probably be out of service, and we will then either be renting or trying to find other ways of doing our work. So it is going to be a matter of time before we will have to get one. So, but yes, we did end up borrowing one from another township. Thankfully, they were willing to let us borrow one, but we can't rely on, unfortunately, everybody else for that sort of thing. So,
I have a question for the Public Safety Committee. Were the windows discussed in the last committee meeting? Was the window project discussed in the last meeting?
Still waiting on information from,
Just an update.
yeah, it hasn't come.
Do we have any rough guesstimates on what that's going to?
No, I mean,
So we had a guesstimate a while back, like 1.2.
mhm.
Does anybody have any idea if that's what's going to be, or if it's doubled or tripled, or?
Went up at least.
We're struggling to get past step one, honestly. And there's not a list of architects.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I do have a motion and a second for the use of ARPA funds for the purchase of the grader. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion carries. Next is a resolution to award bids for aggregate for the county.
thank you. We did receive bids for aggregate for the county. I do have a bid tab that was prepared this week. With that, I would answer any questions if you have any, but we're not crazy far either way of being in or out of our budget. We're approximately within range of what I assumed where we were going to be. So,
Motion to award the bid. Brent makes the motion. Mark seconds the motion. Any discussion or questions? This is the rock for oil and chipping, correct?
that is correct, yes.
What were the bid awards? Who were they and for how much?
It's broken up into many different sections. Beelman Logistics, one part of it, Mid-Illinois Quarry, one part of it, Nokomis Quarry, one part of it. For our rock, it's around, if you total the Nokomis Quarry, we're looking around $50,000 for Nokomis Quarry, $9,000 for Mid-Illinois, and about $14,600 from Beelman, just for aggregate to be hauled in. So we will be doing a lot of the work ourselves as far as bringing the rock into the department, but that was where we came in at.
So this is for the purchase of the rock or the trucking?
This is for the purchase only of the rock. We'll be doing a significant amount of the trucking ourselves. This will get us probably 15, 16 miles worth of our county highways to be oiled and chipped this year. Just for the county, not for townships.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Clark Gambling,
Yes.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole, Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Martha Fernhaver,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Annette Martin,
Yes.
Sean Marks,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Lori Nelson, Bobby Warman,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Mitchell Sheff,
Yes.
Brett Wallace,
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Motion
Chairman, on the grader, should we have done a roll call vote for that?
So this is a request of ARPA funds. We have not expended actually any money yet. This is the ability for him to actually, more or less the applications for the funds. So we haven't actually approved the
Okay.
purchase yet.
I'm not arguing with you, I just,
Yeah.
So that purchase will come back before the board for the actual vote? That
Yeah.
was the same question I was asking. Okay,
Yep.
thanks,
Yep.
sir.
Because if we wouldn't approve the ability to use the funds,
Understood.
he wouldn't move forward with anything.
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. So next is the resolution to award bids for aggregate for townships. Michael?
Thank you. So I will say that the townships actually have, or the township commissioners actually have the authority to it. I'm bringing this to the county board actually more for informational purposes of where the bids actually came in. You guys were supplied with the bid tabs. So the actual commissioners, come to find out, are actually able to support these, but I just wanted everybody to be aware of where they came in. So the resolution doesn't need to actually occur, but it can if you want it to. So that, I'm just saying basically we don't have to pass a resolution if you don't want to.
I'm going to find the resolution now. Do you have the resolution handy?
Here it is.
So Michael, are you saying, when you say that the townships are taking care of this, then it comes out of their funding as well?
It does. They have an MFT account that they are actually responsible for. I just help monitor and oversee the project. But
So the county isn't spending anything on this?
The
This
county
really
is
is just
not
more, this is FYI?
yeah, this is actually 100% township funding.
Okay.
Sorry if there's any confusion in that.
Hey, Bubba.
Mark?
I might point out that this was the rock letting, and then you may get the dates on it, but after they have the rock letting, then the townships, if they want hauling bid, then they know basically how many tons and from where it's coming from. And then do you have the oil letting at the same time as the hauling?
Yeah, so next month, February 5th, we'll be bringing another letting, which will be culverts, the oil, and the hauling. So we'll be bringing us another letting for the county and for the individual townships. So we've already got that prepared, and advertisements are going out in a week or so for that. So.
And each one of the townships basically have so many dollars in MFT funds, and that's how they figure out how many dollars of product they want by these bids.
Correct.
Okay. Next is department updates, IDOT compliance review for Township Bridge, Township, or you've already done the updates, haven't you?
Well, I brought these for basically discussion. I can't answer a whole lot for what happened in 2022, but I can tell you our office was in compliance with our books for 2022 year. So that is, I have the reports here in my hand, and our books were correct, and they were audited by the state or the Department of Transportation for Illinois, and we were found to be in compliance with it. So.
Any other questions for Michael while we're here? I think we're all set.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion and vote to approve the appointment of Angela Miller as Animal Control Administrator. Have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Lori makes the motion. Martha seconds the motion. Is there any discussion?
Is Ms. Miller present?
Yes, she
Yep. Right there in the background. Questions, comments? Hearing none, we will take a roll call vote, please.
Clark Hamley,
Yes.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Martha Fernhaber,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Annette Martin,
Yes.
Sean Marks,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Laura Nelson,
Yes.
Bobby Warman,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Mitchell Sheff,
Yes.
Brett Wallace,
No.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 9.
Not quite.
Congratulations. 15 ayes, 1 nay, Wallace.
Thank you. Just for a point of clarification, I did pull a roll call vote on that just because we are employing a new, more or less, a new employee, so we are actually going to spend money, so therefore I pulled a roll call vote just for a point of clarification on that. May not have done that in the past, but I had an epiphany today, just wanted to clarify with y'all. Okay, item 9 is discussion and vote to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Stewartson for animal control services. There was a IGA in your board packet. Is there a motion to approve?
We have a motion. We would like to withdraw that and send that to the Public Safety Committee.
So item 9, it will be withdrawn, be sent back to public safety. Item 10 is discussion and vote to approve a resolution to waive animal adoption fees for veterans pursuant to HB 2500.
So moved.
Sonny makes the motion to approve. Martha seconds the motion. Is there any discussion on this waiver? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 11 is discussion and vote to approve the change to the county travel ordinance 16-03 to eliminate reimbursement of meal tips upon recommendation of the legislature. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Jeremy makes the motion. Is there a second? Martha makes a second. Is there any discussion? Jeremy?
One point, Mr. Chairman, the legislative committee in its meeting did not only remove tips from reimbursement, it also removed an old, outdated, already replaced appendix within the resolution. There was, well, it was old, outdated, it was redundant, and it had already been replaced. And so we chose, for clarity, to remove the older of the two appendixes. It had outdated numbers on it, and it had since been replaced.
So the new travel ordinance is updated and has been adjusted. I had a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions for the committee members? Mark?
I would like to request that Jessica would include a copy of this in the Finance Committee's folder.
Okay, yep.
So we all get.
When you see the vouchers come through, you can refer back to it real fast.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 12 is discussion and vote to approve Sheriff's Office and State's Attorneys to investigate allegations made in county board meetings, which include A, illegally having keys made to the dive team building, B, theft of Wex cards from dive team building, and C, illegal transfer of titles, D, threatening an elected official.
So moved.
Jeremy makes the motion. Is there a second? Tim Brown makes a second. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I might. Is the sheriff here tonight? Oh, you're hiding back there. Okay. Since this involves your office, I got a couple of quick questions, if you don't mind. Okay. Usually an investigation into something is begun when someone comes to your office and fills out a complaint, and you process from there. That having been said and explained, for item D, if a victim or a witness to that alleged event were to come to you, to your office, someone in your office, and fill out a complaint, that would be the way to initiate an investigation in that matter. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And for the other three items, A, B, and C, in your professional opinion, based on the evidence you have currently, has there been a crime committed for you to look into?
Well, first of all, I've not received any complaints or any statements of information, so I have very little vague information of what the allegation is, so there may or may not be. I'd have to see what was being said. And all these, and I mentioned this legislative meeting the other night, I think best practices would be, we would not be doing the investigation. We'd be referring to Illinois State Police Special Investigators Unit to have them look at it.
So, based on the information you have now, there was no crime committed?
Again, I don't have enough information to say one way or the other. I'd have to see what the allegation is, look at the information, and then forward that on.
Okay, so right now you would have nothing to go on, nothing to look into?
No, we've received no complaints or statements or on these matters.
And the same as for item D, if there were to be an investigation, that could be started by someone coming to your office and filing a complaint?
Correct, or they could go directly to the Illinois State Police if they wanted to.
Okay.
I had an email exchange with the sheriff after our legislative committee meeting last week, and I said that perhaps, we need to first determine was a crime even committed, and he responded back that he did not believe so, as if, a public official entered the building. The WEX cards are all accounted for. There was no theft of any WEX cards. So that's why I probably A and B are probably moot points at this time because there was no crime to look into.
Madam Clerk, who made the second?
I did.
Tim Brown.
That's right, sorry.
Tim Brown.
Having gotten it out in the open, the process for filing a complaint, beginning an investigation, and having heard that there's not enough to go on to even say there was a crime, if there was a crime, with permission of the second,
Of course.
I would withdraw the motion and move on.
All right. Motion's been withdrawn. We'll move on to item 13. Discussion and vote on the date ranges for forensic audit of DIE team is approved in the November 23 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, after having discussed with the treasurer and yourself, I'm going to make the motion that the scope, that the time frame of that audit be the beginning of fiscal year 21 through 10/31/23.
So there's a motion for the date range to be fiscal year 21, beginning of fiscal year 21 through 10/31/23. Motion, seconded by Martha. Any discussion, comments on the dates? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say sign.
And Carol and Tim. Okay.
Motion carries. So we will have I'll send that notice off. Item 14 is committee reports. Anybody like to report from committees? We've heard from legislative and road and bridge a little bit. Mark?
Yes, as far as finance committee, I would say almost 4 weeks ago, after our last board meeting, we had the issue with the Shelby County Community Services. After further review, the day after, or Monday following the Thursday meeting, I talked with Jessica, I talked with Ron Cheney, I also talked with the lady, sorry I don't recall her name offhand, very nice lady that put the claims together. And just for clarification, Levon and I talked, and it's $36,500 a month, per month, that Shelby County Community Services has budgeted. The total for the 12-month period is $438,000. And we were all in agreement. There's just, it was just a position that Levon didn't have the paperwork with her. And otherwise, there was just some typos on it. So that amount that we were talking about was a per month times 12 months.
Any other committee reports? Hearing none. Chairman updates. I do have, I did have received correspondence from the Christian County Chairman about the 911 intergovernmental agreement that we have in Christian County for 911 services. We will be addressing that in the next few weeks. Pretty much one-on-one with a few extra people from all three boards, So we will sit down and review what's already on paper, and then see if we want to make any changes, and then start making recommendations to our appropriate committees on both boards, and hopefully come back with a 911 agreement. So other than that, moving all the way down to old business. Is there any old business? Need to be addressed? Carol.
I have a question about the ARPA funds.
Okay.
I did send you and Erica both an email yesterday after she sent out the expenditures. I just have some questions. I don't know if anybody else has the same questions, but I wondered if it could be more specific. For instance, the projects, $296,270. Could we get specifics on what those projects were?
So is this an actual expense report then?
You got it.
I know.
Everybody got
What
it.
you're looking at is the actual expense report, correct?
There's just some numbers and some dates. That's, I don't know, can it be broken down so we know what expenditures were in the projects? What are those projects?
Okay.
Do we know the special prosecutor, what that was for?
That was for the first 3 to 4 or 5 months where Mulch County was in the state attorney's office during transition. That's the special prosecutor.
And then for the FOP and the MOU, do we know for sure that the grievance risk is going to be $390,000? How do we determine that?
It's I mean, it's estimated to the best of my knowledge. It's estimated.
So can we get a better report? Can we get a better report? Just for my understanding, I guess everybody else understands everything on this. I'm the only one that.
No, not really, but I'm waiting for it to come out.
You're waiting for it to come out?
I mean, according to the projects. Because
So what we'll do, we'll sit down, we'll brush up this a little bit and send it back out.
I mean, if every item would let us know exactly what it's for, I think it would help the board. I don't have a clue.
Okay. We can brush that up. Any other old business? Hearing none, we'll move. Oh, sorry.
I have a question on the dive team, and what's bothering me is in this, I was looking through some things, and on the Fire Protection District Act, in that first paragraph, it talks about that they need to have the ability to recover in water situations, and without our dive team in place, are they still compliant? Because as long as they had mutual aid, they were compliant.
So what you're saying is the Fire Protection District Act states that they have to have water recovery?
Yeah. Print it out, you want to look at it?
No, I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
Does it state they're required to have, or does it state they may have?
Well, what's the
Is it
statute number that you've got in front of you?
70 ILCS 705/1.
Any language that I've read in that, Mr. Chairman, has always referenced that a fire protection district may have the authority to do, but it doesn't specify that they shall have the duty.
Tim, can you read that number one more time, please?
70 ILS 705/1. Well, I saw that, and first thing that came to mind is I don't want our fire protection districts impacted.
I don't have an answer for you right at the moment.
So what particular line are you in? Because I can sit there and read that, but it's going to take a while.
I underlined it there. Look at it.
Right at the top.
Yeah. Right next to it.
Is there a section number?
Yeah, section 1 is right at the very top.
It's May.
The midline says may. Right. May engage.
So it's been determined that it says that the fire protection district may engage a dive rescue. Any other old business? Hearing none, we will move on to the payment of claims. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
Make a motion.
Sonny makes the motion to pay the bills. Martha seconds the motion. Any discussion?
Question mark. We didn't have anything to pull out this time.
So nothing to withdraw, nothing to add. Everything is intact as presented. Roll call, please.
Clark Gambling,
Yes.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Martha Fernhaber,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Annette Martin, Sean Marks,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Lori Nelson,
Yes.
Bobby Orman,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Mitchell Sheff,
Yes.
Brent Wallace,
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Motion carries, thank you. Before I open the floor up to public body comment, I would just like to say we've been blessed with a super mild winter. I hope everybody has safe travels and a safe next couple of days. It's supposed to be extremely cold, so please be careful when you're out and about. Take care of your livestock and your pets. It's going to be cold, it's going to be windy, and it could throw us a serious risk to everybody. So, with that said, just want to shout out to the weather. It's going to change, and I will open the floor up to public body
I
comment.
actually put a sign-up sheet out.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not.
Shortest meeting in the history of. Let me get ready. Get ready to get chewed on.
Good clock.
Should be set and ready to go.
Okay, when I open the floor up, public body comment, there's a 5-minute time limit. And up first is Tammy Smith.
I'm Tammy Smith. This was brought up last month, and unless something has changed that we are not aware of, Assistant State's Attorney Ambrosiak has not been in the courthouse since on or about November 22nd of 2023. Based on records received via FOIA, she has been paid for work she isn't here performing for the last 7 weeks which equal an amount at or near $16,152. Based on a response to a FOIA request for documentation regarding attendance records, salaries, and vacation policies for the state's attorney's office since the time Robert Hanlon assumed the office, the state's attorney replied, "The state's attorney has no responsive records to your request. However, the county treasurer has the records related to salaries and attendance records for hourly employees. Based on a response to a FOIA request for all benefit time payable to Denise Ambrosiak that has been submitted to the treasurer's office as payroll HR, the treasurer replied with, "I have no records responsive to your request." The state's attorney doesn't have a record of attendance, benefit, or vacation policy for his office salaried employees. The treasurer doesn't have records of any benefit time payable to the assistant state's attorney, yet we have paid over $16,000 in income to an employee who has not been seen at the courthouse or appeared on a docket since before Thanksgiving. If there is no pay or benefit policy, then what is the assistant state's attorney being paid for? Is there an unknown remote work policy that we are unaware of? Surely not, since there isn't a pay or benefit policy to include a remote work policy in. Less than a year of employment surely doesn't warrant 7 weeks of paid vacation or 7 weeks of sick time. However, we don't know because the state's attorney didn't create a pay and benefits policy for his office. All the while, even after responding that there are no records of benefit time payable, the treasurer continues to pay the assistant state's attorney despite no docket appearances or being seen in the courthouse for 7 weeks. I would like to think that the treasurer and her care and concern over taxpayer resources would question the state's attorney about Ms. Ambrosiak's lack of attendance, and as a strong advocate for taxpayer funds, would press back against her former private attorney and demand answers for the sake of protecting taxpayer funds. Just last month, the treasurer wanted to nickel and dime the minutes and seconds of the employees of the courthouse and take a happy snap every time they went in and out of the building, but she is willing to pay over $16,000 to an employee who doesn't show up. In her recently released interview with the Illinois State Police, the treasurer bickers over 10 to 15 minute possible discrepancies in log-in and log-out times, but the assistant state's attorney gets a free pass. At least the assistant state's attorney is winning. We've heard and read a lot from members of this board and the treasurer that deep corruption has led this county into problems. We've heard how they're here to fix things and eliminate how things have always been done and do away with the good old boys club. I don't know about corruption, but it sure appears that the good old boys club is fine and well. It just has new membership. We, the taxpayers, you are charged with representing, demand to know why we are shilling out pay to an absent employee. We demand answers from the board chairman, the state's attorney, and the treasurer. Thank you for your time.
Public body comment? I'm sorry. Up next is Jay Cole.
Yeah, I'm Jay Cole. My wife and I have an antique shop out on the other end of town. We've been observing these meetings for quite some time. We've heard quite a few accusations against different people, including Alan Spesser, the diet team. My contention has been, many of you have probably seen on Facebook, that everyone is innocent until pleaded guilty, or until proven guilty. To me, all these seem to be false accusations. There's no one on the dive team been proven in a court of law of being guilty. Alan Spesser wasn't proven as being guilty. Kirk Allen and Jeremy here say we can't farm our farm. Of course we can, because they cannot stop us. They do not have any authority to stop us. Neither one of them has any authority to do anything that I know of. Kirk, if you have an authority, where's your badge or where's your certificate of authority? You want to go down to your vehicle and get a ticket book and write me a ticket for having an opinion? You can lie to me, I don't care. But you can't stop anyone from farming. You couldn't stop Ford County. You can't stop anyone else. If you can, well, prove you can stop them. And Jeremy, you can't stop anyone. What you really like to do is make accusations against people that aren't true. You're wanting the sheriff to take care of your dirty work for you, is what you're wanting to do. And he's not going to do it. Not unless you file a complaint. You told us at the meeting the other night, you would not file a complaint. So if you don't have enough faith in your ability to prove someone wrong, why don't you file a complaint? I mean, this whole thing's a disaster. If everything that these people say you believe, but there's no proof, when are you going to stop believing it? What Kirk says, he's welcome to say anything he wants. He's welcome to say we can't farm. I don't care what he said. I'm just saying we can. I don't think he can stop it. Is he going to get the sheriff to stop it? Is he going to get the state police to stop it? Who are you going to get to stop this, Kirk? You can't. I mean, you can make a citizen's arrest. Are you going to arrest a farmer? Are you going to threaten again to sue board members if they vote to farm? Jeremy, that's what you did last time. I don't know about last time, but one of the times, a couple of years ago, we couldn't farm because yours and Hamlin's accusations of someone on the board. If you said someone on the board voted to farm, they might be sued. You didn't say they would be, but you said it might, right? Why would you do that? I mean, they're not going to be sued. Have you ever seen anyone in this county or any other county sued for the way they voted? Of course you haven't. Neither have I. So to me, and Sonny, he's saying these people on the Dyke team are guilty of something. What court of law are they guilty in? I haven't seen any of them guilty. If you can't prove anything, they're innocent. That's the law. That's the law of this country. You're innocent until proven guilty. And no one's been proven guilty of anything. Thank you.
Julie.
Hi, Julie Edwards. I was hoping tonight to address some comments made in last Thursday's Public Safety Committee. However, under advice of my legal counsel, I'm going to hold off on that for now. But I do want to encourage anyone who has any concerns or would like to speak to me directly to reach out to me via email or telephone. I'm always willing to sit down and talk to you. So, thanks.
I have any time left.
Okay, that wraps up the list. Is there any other public body comment? Public body comment? Tricia.
Yeah, about the number 12 that was on there. I believe what the sheriff stated was, he didn't state that there was no crimes committed. He stated that he doesn't have a complaint. That's how you investigate crimes. Without a complaint, he can't investigate anything. So I don't think he's able to make a determination one way or the other, and it felt like you were trying to lead him into saying no crime had been committed. I don't think that's what he said. He doesn't have any information because no one's filed a complaint, I believe is what he said. My other question I have for Mr. Orman, can you give me the statute that allows you to act as department head in the lack of a department head? Is there a statute for that?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay, because you have the power to appoint, correct? And so in the lack of a department head, you can temporarily appoint a department head if that's what you need to do, correct?
Okay.
Yes. So you said since at the last meeting, you brought up and said that with the titles, you said because we did not have a department head, you were acting in that role. Now, how is that not simultaneously holding two offices? Did you appoint yourself to act as department head of the dive team in lack of a department head?
No, if you look at the titles that I worked on, I used my title, not dive commander. So if I wrote dive commander on there, that would be very alarming and very disturbing. But I used my title on the paperwork.
Yes, I saw that you used your title on the paperwork, but you still have the power to appoint. Why did you not appoint a department head to carry that out? You had a discussion and had a title policy, maybe because of the situation that occurred there, that you had to come up with a policy on how to change titles. Why wasn't that put on a public safety agenda and discussed so that way other districts could weigh in on that?
So what you're insinuating is that...
I'm not insinuating, I'm
No.
asking a question.
You're asking why it wasn't put on an agenda. So that would mean that you're insinuating that there is debate on whether it's correct or not. And if it's not correct, it's not correct. If it's correct, it's correct. There's no debate on that.
I wasn't debating that, sir. What I was saying is that you did not put it up for, you felt compelled enough to make a title policy after you went to the DMV. So, and everybody voted on that for a title policy, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel that because of the actions that were taken, that's why you put the title policy down. There are other vehicles, I think there's one that's not even in the county names at all. It's a rescue squad vehicle that was paid for $1 from the county. It is the, I believe it was on the last agenda for public safety. Is it an 81? I'm trying to remember, but anyway, you gave $1 for that vehicle, the county did. Now, where I'm going with that is the county dive team, or the dive team, they sent an intergovernmental agreement. And you got a vehicle from that department for $1, which means you could lease the equipment to the city for $1, as long as you're charging money. So my question is, why hasn't the intergovernmental agreement ever been put on the agenda to discuss for the full board? So they can weigh in on if it's something that would interest them. Every district should be able to speak up, and they're not getting their shot at that. Thank you.
Now, the intergovernmental agreement you're talking about is which one? Because you mentioned the rescue truck. Now, are you talking about dive?
Are you I think that you're clear that the one that was sent to you by the clerk from the city of Shelbyville, that
Right.
you have possession of, and that you've had possession of since November 7th. That has never been put on an agenda to discuss. And that gives the other districts no chance to weigh in on that, to say what they think their district would be interested in. We've heard several people, including Mr. Ross, say his constituents aren't interested in that. I'm a constituent in your district. I'm interested in working with the city of Shelbyville. And I hope, and I've been talking to lots of people in District 7, and all of the ones I have talked to did not understand at all why we were not working with the city of Shelbyville.
Public body comment. Are you done? Finished? You finished? Public body comment? Yes.
I'm just curious how we do a forensic audit of something that wasn't part of our county. Does that give you the ability to do a forensic audit of
It
Aaron's
was,
over here?
it is part of the county. It was
The
proven.
dates that you gave,
Yeah.
weren't they the dates before this July 18th argument? What were the dates that you came up with today to do this forensic audit of the dive team? What dates were they, Bobby?
Fiscal year 21 through 10/31/23.
Okay, and part of that time you claimed they weren't part of the county, they weren't legally formed.
Correct. They weren't legally formed.
And you're not understanding the question or what? If they weren't legally formed, they weren't part of Shelby County, how can you order or ask the taxpayers to pay for a forensic audit of something that wasn't Shelby County? Go back.
Well, the 2013 case in Michigan proved...
Michigan. We're not Michigan, Bobby.
No, listen. The case in Michigan was for a vehicle that they didn't take receipt of because of something with the manufacturer. In that lawsuit, there was claims and paperwork determined in that lawsuit and in the whole file that the membership of the dive team is under the county umbrella. Am I wrong in that?
I was just saying. So, okay, so which is it? And a division of is what the paperwork says. There's lots of times in life where things say a division of XYZ. But it doesn't, you cannot maintain in July to shut down dive team, you just said yourself, is not part of the county. And then you go back to paperwork from a nonsensical thing that happened about the truck. You can't have it both ways. We don't get to change it every 5 minutes depending on what we want the answer to be. This is ridiculous.
I'm not sure that a federal lawsuit is a nonsensical thing about a
I'm
truck.
talking about the words a division of. Okay,
Well, it's
so
a
this
federal-
lawsuit about a truck.
it's a
You
federal
went on and
lawsuit.
on about it not being part of the county. They were not properly formed. But tonight now, with that paperwork in hand, they are properly formed.
No,
Is that
no,
what you're
no, no,
arguing?
there's where the confusion is. They were not properly formed. They were not properly formed, but they were acting as a division of the county. Major separation there. Major separation. Martha.
I believe that they were not properly formed, but this board, the current members of this board, did not become aware of that until June of 2024. We can't act on something that we are not aware of. So once we became aware of it, the wheels were in motion immediately and feverishly to try to come to resolution. I will say that we have the authority to perform or request a forensic audit because taxpayer monies were given to the dive team for use. The dive team was spending taxpayer dollars, and that's why we can go back and do a forensic audit.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah, go ahead, Erica.
I prepared an amount because there seems to be a lot of conversation and misunderstanding about public funds. But the dive team had a general fund and an office that is run through the treasurer's office. So general fund 001, office number 033, and I put together from fiscal year 2016 to fiscal year 23, $128,098.77 was expended out of the general fund, which is a levied money for the corporate, for the county, as well as other incomes that we get from the state and various things. That was the total that was spent out of the general fund dive team office. The Rescue Dive Fund 050, which the dive team has their own bank account for donations. The rescue squad has their own bank account and line items. The Rescue Dive Fund 050, total donations and services between 2016 and fiscal year 23. That income was $60,705.94. The expenditure out of that fund, again 050, the total expenditures fiscal year 16 to 23 was $75,024.31. There was considerably more money spent out of the general fund, taxpayer-funded general fund, than there was out of the donation and service account. Thank you.
Christine, isn't that why Chris Smith said that both rescue and dive team were covered? Because they both had line item budgets. He said that after Sonny shut the team down, actually 6.5 hours after Sonny shut the team down on July 12th. Martha asked about it before Sonny shut the team down, about 54 minutes. Sonny shuts the team down, says definitively there's no insurance coverage. Then about 6.5 hours later, VP Smith emails and says, no, you're covered because they both have line items in the budget, rescue and dive team. And in fact, if I'm reading the emails correctly, no one at the insurance company ever said that there was no coverage, the way that Sonny's stand-down order says. So that's point one. Point two is, weren't dive and rescue formed at the same time in the late 70s, right? Now we can't find those founding documents, correct? But they were founded in the 70s. We can't find them, that's true. But we still have found the rescue documents, if I'm correct. So they got split somewhere in the early 2000s, but they didn't get split legally and reformed according to paperwork. I guess that's why we're here in this particular moment. But they didn't get split in terms of the budget. So the rescue squad had a budget, dive team had a budget. That rescue squad formation papers, to the best of my knowledge, has never been rectified. However, both Mr. Allen and Mr. Williams have been arguing lately because an insurance claim got paid out to the rescue squad, they have coverage. Well, if they paid out to the rescue squad, it would seem to me that they pay out to the dive team as well. And this ultra hazardous coverage that I keep hearing about, that doesn't even exist. And BP Smith told Mr. Ross that, told him that it doesn't even exist at all. You guys properly formed the dive team on July 18th in that closed session. The rescue squad's never been properly formed, but they are covered. I don't want them shut down. Insurance says you're covered. Don't shut these people down. We need them. We also need the dive team. But actually, weirdly enough, according to your guys' argument, your legal argument, that because they weren't properly formed, they didn't have insurance, doesn't hold water. No one at the insurance company ever told you that. But the dive team is actually properly legally formed now. They're not in operation. The rescue squad, on the other hand, it doesn't have that legal paperwork. You guys didn't shut them down, which you shouldn't do because they have insurance coverage. But you should have never shut the dive team down either because they were covered as well. And you knew it, and you shut them down.
Bobby, can I speak to that, please?
There's 40 minutes.
Chris, you and Shelby County First continually ignore the fact that in that long email thread, there was an email from Dan Arkin, who's senior counsel at Ansel Glink. And I'm asking you not to interrupt me, please.
Can I respond?
I did not interrupt you, and I'm not done speaking.
Okay.
You continue to ignore that email. That was from counsel. Chris Smith did put that in writing that they have insurance coverage, but Chris is not an attorney, and there were multiple people on that email thread, and Chris would tell you if he were standing here today that he's the insurance agent, but Rich Stokala is the one at AJ Gallagher to put that entire program together. Rich is the one that sent the email to Ansel Glick to get the response. And if you read that response, and if you ever choose to share it on your Facebook page, it is abundantly clear that it was an unknown as to whether or not they'd have worker compensation coverage. Second of all, the point, you keep talking insurance. The point that you continue to ignore is that the dive team members did not have tort immunity. Jeremy went through that in December, and because they did not have tort immunity, had something happen when they had that training session, they could have been personally at risk. Their finances, their homes, their cars, the whole 9 yards. And I will tell you all, after the meeting where they were reestablished, and we didn't reestablish them in closed session because we can't take a vote in closed session. We came back out here to the open meeting and unanimously voted to put them back to work with the current command in place for 60 days so that the Public Safety Committee and the dive commander could work on the SOPs and SOGs. But there was actually the spouse of one of the dive team members that approached Mr. Ross after that meeting and thanked him for standing him down. I'm not going to tell because you guys will go harass the crazy.
Oh, no, I would never do that.
Oh, yes, you do.
I would never do that.
Oh, yes, you do.
I would never do that.
Oh, yes, you do.
You don't want to tell me because it didn't happen. They knew that. They knew that. They had to do that. And they still told you they were coming. They still told you they were coming. They saw that email. They still said they were coming.
Totally covered. Hey, Bobby. I got a question. I know Mark's a past dive team member. He don't have to answer my question. I always beg the question, I assume Sonny told the dive team to shut down. So why did they shut down if they didn't think they was in the wrong? Why didn't they shut down?
Are you serious?
And if they, one more question first.
That's a great question.
And one more question, if you guys think that's your equipment, go get it.
You just want to help them, you want to destroy it.
Huh?
You just want to help them, you want to destroy it. You know what goes on.
I'm just asking the questions, all I'm asking.
I could just answer, I'm not a part of command staff. I've never been part of our command staff. I've always been a diver and shore responder, but from the conversations and from what Sonny sent us, the top of that document said official stand down. Okay, so this was an official order from the county board or a county board member. We assumed that the county board had at least discussed this issue. They had not. Or that at least the Public Safety Committee had discussed it. We found out later they had not. There were members of that committee that had no idea this was taking place. That was our concern about the propriety of how it was done and why it was done.
Initially.
Yeah, and I have a question, and Martha, maybe you can help me with this. Jeremy has equated or conflated tort immunity with workers' comp coverage.
They're not the same thing.
That's my point.
He didn't conflate it.
Jeremy told me that the dive team didn't have tort immunity, but when the question was asked about the rescue squad, he said because a workers' comp claim was paid, that therefore there was precedent set, so they were covered, and they did have tort immunity. Tort immunity is statutory, has nothing to do with workers' comp insurance, is that correct?
They're two separate items.
They're two separate items, and one does not buy the other, is that correct?
I don't understand the question about buy the other.
Well, if you can have workers' comp insurance and not be covered by tort immunity, because tort immunity comes statutorily from the fact that you are working as an employee or volunteer employee for a government agency. And isn't the Illinois statute on tort immunity, isn't that where tort immunity comes from?
Tort immunity comes from being properly established.
Right.
And I'm going to use the term legitimate, employee, volunteer, et cetera, of the county. And because there were no founding documents for the dive team, had something happened, any attorney worth anything is going to, number one, name everybody and their dog in a lawsuit. So as a dive team member, if you were named personally and you say, here you go, county, take care of that for me, I was a dive team member, and that attorney finds out, the first things they're going to ask, where's the founding documents to support that the dive team was properly established? We don't have any. I'm sorry, Mr. Shanks, you don't have tort immunity. You get to take care of this on your own.
But that comes
and that's why, and it's very, very different from workers' compensation. And when I go back to the email that we received from Dan Arkin at Ansel Blank, there were, if you go back and read that email, and it's been posted, it's out there, because unlike you accused me of doing, Mr. Shanks, I did not withhold any emails from anybody.
That is absolutely 100% untrue. I have never accused you of withholding emails. Sonny misrepresented what I said in a discussion with him outside of the courthouse. Scott and Tuck was present. Two of the three people agreed exactly on what happened in that conversation. I mentioned the email that Chris has just referenced from Chris Smith, and I told him that there was a whole chain of emails because at that point they weren't public knowledge. Then shortly after that they did come out and they were public knowledge. So Sonny kept saying, where's this missing email? Where's this mysterious email? I said, you have the emails. And I didn't provide him anything more because obviously he wasn't trying to have a discussion. He was trying to be accusatory. That's the only emails. I've never said I had a missing email. I've never said you didn't provide anything. That is a lie.
By Sonny.
If you go back and read Mr. Arkin's email, there are a lot of what-ifs in there. And the work comp law is state statute. And what is and who is, if volunteers are covered or not covered, is extremely not easy to understand. There are a lot of what-ifs. There were a lot of what-ifs in that email, and that's why Dan Arkin basically said that there would not be coverage.
Well, here's my question. Here's why I brought up tort immunity. Initially, the issue was about workers' comp insurance. That's what you wrote letters to Chris.
I was having the conversation with the insurance company about insurance coverage. Sonny was having conversations with the state's attorney about the tort immunity. So they were two totally different things, and it wasn't one thing alone that led to the temporary stand-down order. And it was a temporary stand-down order. It lasted 7 days. This board came together as quickly as possible, as quickly as a special meeting could be posted, and we could have that meeting. And again, we unanimously voted to put the dive team back to work that day, unanimously, with the current command in place so that the Public Safety Committee and the dive team could work together to get the SOPs and the SOGs rewritten and corrected as they needed to be. So there's, 7 days. I don't know how you can expect us to work a whole lot faster than that in government. You are on city council, you know how government works. You know that at times it's as slow as molasses.
I understand.
Thank you.
That wasn't an issue I was here to argue. Length of time is immaterial. I'd already resigned at that point personally, but at any rate, my question about the insurance and tort immunity being two separate issues is because Jeremy has said that since there was precedence that a rescue squad claim for workers' comp was paid, that implied there was precedence, and so therefore they were covered for tort immunity, and that's why they weren't shut down, and that was not an issue for them. It is my understanding that the rescue squad still does not have tort immunity, and I don't know if you could tell me, is there a difference on that? But tort immunity comes statutorily, does not have anything to do with workers' comp. Is that not correct?
I'm not sure if the rescue squad has tort immunity or not. I assume if they didn't, then we would take, I don't know if they do, I just know insurance covers them.
Well, it was so vitally important that we had to shut the dive team down over. That's right. Right. And obviously, I'm not in favor of shutting down the rescue squad. I have nothing but respect for those guys and think they do a fantastic job, and they're amazing volunteers, just like the dive team was. But why is it so important that the dive team had to be shut down immediately? And the reasoning was tort immunity, and we know, to this day, we don't know whether the rescue squad has tort immunity. The dive team was formed, we can go back to history, in the early 70s or late 70s, early 80s, there was a dive team that was part of the rescue squad. That dive team went defunct. Later, in about 2000, the county received a grant for the establishment of dive services. They put that in the rescue squad. The rescue squad and the dive team, Dave Quartz was hired as the first commander. Dave Quartz worked with Rodney Dilley. Rodney was going to take care of the land-based rescue stuff. Dave Quartz was going to get people trained up for dive and take care of dive. It was only later at the request of the states or the treasurer that those be separated as line item budgets so that they could make sure half the money went to one, half the money went to the other, so they didn't use, somebody needed a big piece of equipment that was going to use the budget for the other one. They said, let's separate them out. But they were never legally separated. So whether they were formed properly in the 70s or before, I don't know. But if the dive team was still legally a part of the rescue squad, they are still legally connected. They were until the Water Rescue Act was passed later, and then the resolution was passed to form a dive team. But all that time, they were directly connected. They were part of the same department. They had the same 3 trustees that were county board members that met with them every month to discuss issues. And I should say that the trustees did sign off on every SOP that the dive team ever operated under. Got copies of some of those documents.
Okay, well, we've gone through. So we've gone through a lot of time on that. I did not set the timer because this was what I anticipated to be a productive conversation. So, for the sake of everybody's concern, if you noticed, I didn't time anybody really. It was, in essence, in seeking productive conversation. But there's a few nuances in that whole thing that I picked up on. One is the whole situation in the 7-day storm that it was what do you know when you know it? At the very beginning, there was a whole lot of I don't knows. And as time progressed, we start to figure things out. At day 7, the board voted to reinstate the division, and then the resignations happened. So at this point in the juncture, we're in an impasse, and I will say I did receive an IGA from the city. I did review it, and like I spoke earlier about the 911, myself and the Christian County Board Chair and a few select people from 911 and both boards will sit down. It's not an OMAC violation because there's no public bodies involved. But we're going to sit down and really review that IGA. I can tell you point blank that I received one email November 7th, I think it was, My memory serves me right? I've sent it to a couple of you.
But then in December, you told us you never received it.
You are correct, and I did not lie to you either. I'd like to make that point. I did not lie to you.
So you just didn't check your
You
email?
just said you got it in November.
I received it in my inbox in November. I did not know it was there until somebody said, you received this in November.
As the board chairman, you don't check your email for a month and a half?
Yeah.
It could have gotten buried quickly. I will tell you that point blank. It can get buried very fast. Anyway, I will further comment that if the mayor, Mr. Johnson, if he really wanted to get something done, he could have called me. My number is on this piece of paper right here. It's on the website, and I'm pretty sure everybody's got it.
But he took the first initiative to send that to you.
You could call him.
You knew it was coming.
Well, if I didn't know it was there until December,
Bobby, you knew that you got that so many times.
I will not accept allegations of lying. I did not lie to you in the last meeting. Will not accept it. So I'm telling you how this rolls out. But if Mayor Johnson didn't receive a response within about a week or 10 days, you would think that, hey, Bob, did you see an email in your inbox? No, but I'll go check it. You know, clerk was CC'd in on that. She was here in November. Could have said something at that point in time to have received it, but she was
We'll
CC'd.
go take it up with the mayor. It seems to be his fault. We'll go talk to him.
But I did review it, and I just would like to let everybody know that the mayor and I will sit down and look at this, because I won't even present it to the board. Not in the language that's on it, I will not. I won't even present it to the board. If you've ever seen contracts that are something that you would not sign as a person, that's one of them. So, unfortunately, we're here almost, 5-6 months further down the road, and in 7 days, the board took action to reinstate a division of the county. And we're still here. Is it the board's fault? I don't think so. Furthermore, I would encourage everybody to take a good listen to the state police interviews on the Watchdog website. There was the former state's attorney, former sheriff, former undersheriff, and the current treasurer all interviewed in state police. Those recordings were released. I'd encourage everybody to go take a good listen to those. If that doesn't just make your skin curl, I don't know what does. But go take a listen to that. You'll kind of understand where we've come from and where we're going.
We know where we're going.
Those interviews alluded to a lot of no record keeping or extremely dilapidated record keeping. But I'll let you go listen to that for yourself. As far as, the assistant state's attorney was brought up, and the policy the state's attorney would have, well, it's not the state's attorney's policy to have, it's the board policy if there is one. So, just a point of clarification on that. As far as the payment and as far as the payment goes, I can't verify one way or another, and the board is, whatever your concern is of whether she's paid leave, et cetera, I can't verify that. So just to your questions, comments, I can't verify any of that. I have not spoke to Rob about it, so I don't know.
Can I say something to that, Bobby?
Go ahead, Erica.
I don't know what Mr. Hanlon's policy is for his office, but I can tell you Nicole Cronke's policy was that one of her employees worked remotely and from home and wasn't in this building. So it's nothing new in that office. And I'm going to have to guess, would be certain things that they can do from home with access to cases and whatnot. But I also will mention that there is such a thing called FMLA that might be coming into play here. I don't know. But the accusations...
I'm aware of FMLA. I was a manager.
Ma'am? But your accusations that I walk around and police everything are kind of ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is, when they turn it in, I still pay it. It's been my beef for 5 years that I pay payroll, where we had no documentation. But there are certain people in this county that are in salaried positions. And so you can sit there and talk about, 10, 15 minutes, but the fact of the matter is, and I didn't say it last month, but I'll say it this month, because y'all want to go 8 nuts over a picture, and I've said to my employees, I have 2 employees in my office, and if somebody walks in my office and accuses one of clocking the other one in, within 60 seconds I can have an answer as to whether or not that was happening. Within 60 seconds I can protect my employees from a false accusation. Because I can click on that little icon and I can see who clocked who in. But I can also know in 60 seconds whether I have a problem in my office and I need to contact the sheriff and have a criminal investigation. But the fact of the matter is, we can say we've got cameras all over this courthouse. I don't want to put my employees through, if someone accuses her of clocking her in, and then I have to pick up a phone and I have to call Gossip Center over yonder before the sheriff or one of his employees can come over here and review the video that's downstairs. It'll be all over this county that the treasurer's office, they're lying, cheating, stealing, whatever, when it wouldn't even have to go out of my office with an accusation with a simple click of a button that shows me a simple picture of who was clocking in. I wanted it for the protection of all of our employees, so that accusations would be stopped that fast.
Public body comment. Public body comment.
Bobby,
Negative.
you addressed I'm answering the question you addressed about the intergovernmental agreement.
Okay, answer the question.
The intergovernmental agreement that was proposed was meant to be a starting point for discussion. It was our assumption that the board would look at it, address any concerns, say we agree to this, but we don't like that, or whatever, and come back and have a back and forth discussion. The council passed it unanimously. It was created by our attorney, city attorney, so I don't know what was so horrible about it, but it at least should be discussed and have a back and forth about what we should and should not include in that. My interest is in getting a dive team back up and standing and operational as soon as possible.
Right, a document that appears to be pretty conclusive in nature, with signatures at the bottom of both heads of the public body, is a final document. So the idea...
That was because the city approved that version, and if you could approve your own version, and then we could get together and have a committee and discuss what needed to be in the final. But it was signed by the mayor because it was agreed upon and voted unanimously by the city council to present to.
Yeah. Okay.
Bobby, I'd like to make one more. I would like to say that this board is as eager, Mark, as anybody to get a dive team back together. And I think it was mentioned, Sonny mentioned it, I think at the Public Safety Committee meeting last week, that there had been some conversations being had with prior dive team members, and when it got out that they were having discussions with the county, that they were harassed by some other dive team members. And, you know, we, don't tell me to, oh, come on. We want the dive team back. It is a county function. It makes no sense for the county, who has budgeted for that, to enter into an intergovernmental agreement for the city to manage it, but give the city dive team the okay to go operate within the county. It is a county jurisdictional thing, and handing it over to the city doesn't make sense. And then what happens in a couple of years when somebody retires or resigns, says, you know, it's time to hang it up, and then there's a different board. I mean, are we going to bounce it back and forth between the city and the county every time there's a little bit of a personality conflict?
Sure.
Or are we going to keep it where it belongs, which is in the county, and when there's a personality conflict, we all put on our big kid pants, we sit down at the table, and we work it out?
You guys told them to stand down.
Public body comment? I'll go back over here to the back row.
Yeah, I was watching some of the things from the Public Safety Committee last week, and I found something very, very disturbing. One of the board members saying that they would euthanize the animals at the dog pound, and this person happened to be a nurse. And I'm thinking, that was really a gross comment. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I thought it was horrible.
Public body comment?
Okay, I can't sit through this anymore. This is ridiculous. I watched you take an oath tonight. Now, how do you feel sitting there? Do you think any of these people are going to work with you? Carol will work with you. She might work with you. He's definitely going to work with you. Did anybody read anything you looked up tonight? You were trying to prove a point, and you got ignored. I would have just given them each a copy and called it a day. I have been living here for 5 years. Thought I was moving to this beautiful little cute town. This is crap. I mean, you guys just don't care about anybody's lives. I live by the lake, so I'm used to hearing the sirens and hearing when people, and I used to panic. And I have grandchildren that come here. You guys just I don't get it. If I was on that board, all of you should have worked together. You had a safety meeting without anybody in the safety meeting with you in the beginning. And you had a lady in the river who, one of the cops almost lost he didn't even know what he was doing. Did you put any thought into this? That's when you shut it down, when somebody's in the river? I don't understand. Do you have a heart? Do you have any feelings? I have feelings, that's my problem. But I sit here, 5 years I've heard about this damn farm. Farm the farm. Get your dive team back and grow up. I can't take it.
My dad, Sonny Ross, started to fix the dive team because they didn't have insurance, and now you guys are saying he shut it down?
He did.
He did not.
He did shut him down.
He was trying to help them, and they decided they were going to resign, throw everything in front of him. It's not okay. He comes home late at night because he's trying to help them. We don't get to cuddle with him at night because he's at the shop trying to help him. I'm sorry, but you guys are wrong.
Oh, I have one more thing.
Thank you. I had a hand up over here in the back row.
He brings her little kids.
Public body comment?
Can I talk one more time?
Public body comment?
I feel this woman deserves a public
Mitch?
apology.
Play. I have Mitch over here.
Okay, I'll be brief. I'm on the farm committee. Now I'm going to address the lady about farming the farm. We've tried to research many different aspects of farming, different avenues, and we keep coming up with roadblocks. And you mentioned, Mr. Martz here, he took an oath, right?
Yes, he did.
To uphold the Constitution, right? Constitution,
Yeah.
Article 8, Section 1, read it. But 1076 does not supersede Article 8, Section 1.
That's a new law.
It don't matter.
You can stop anyone. I don't care what you
Article 8, Section 1. And study it and understand it. And get the annotator to know it.
Can't you read the law?
Public body comment. Kurt?
Moaning and groaning won't help any. This is addressing item number 12, and Jake, I would hope you appreciate this because you've always talked about accusations. Austin Pritchard made a comment and accused a board member of stealing. Has Austin filed a criminal complaint to have that investigated? If not, why not? What's that?
I said investigate it then.
If he's going to make a public accusation, he should file a complaint.
Do you know that he hasn't?
The sheriff has said he's received no complaints.
Why don't you think he went to the sheriff? That's what I'm saying. How do you know he hasn't?
I didn't say he has or he hasn't. I'm saying file a complaint. I know we've asked and there's been no complaint filed. So if there's one filed, then good. Because another complaint was made. I see she left conveniently. Maybe not. Maybe I'm missing it because I'm looking over my glasses. There was an accusation of keys being made illegally. We FOIA'd records for keys. We found no records of keys being made illegally, but that person claimed they had the evidence. We still haven't seen any of the evidence, nor has anybody else in this room. File a complaint and have it properly investigated. Illegal transfer of titles. I don't think titles were transferred. They were corrected. They weren't transferred. But if someone thinks they were done illegally, put it through the process and have an official investigation. Threatening an elected official. When this happened in the meeting, Mr. Rod Height, I believe is his name, stood right over here and said he was threatened. And I immediately turned to John and I said, file a complaint, because if he was threatened, it needs to be investigated. That's a crime. But now that people are asking to have it done, how dare you do that? That's not your place, or you shouldn't do that. No, that's the process.
Well, have you proved anyone guilty of anything?
Yes, we have.
Who?
I'll be happy to sit down and have coffee with you and go through that list.
How about tomorrow morning?
I got to be in Springfield tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah.
You let me excuse. Would you like to see my appointment, sir?
You may have an appointment, you may not. If you say you
My
do,
point
fine.
is,
My point is you can't.
my point is, and we do this all over the state, when you see something wrong, you go to the officials to fix it. When they don't fix it, you take the next step. If you think it's criminal, you go to the authorities and have them investigate it. We fought with the state police for 2.5 years on payroll over recordings that they did not want to give up, and they lost in court, and they had to give them up. And the lies that are told in those audios is mind-boggling, and people say, oh, there was nothing wrong. There was something wrong. There was over $700,000 of malfeasance, and the forensic audit proved it. And when it comes to a forensic audit of your dive team, don't look at the dive team as the ones being audited. It's an account in her office that's being audited. That's the forensic audit, not the dive team members. It's the money going in and out. Everybody wants to personalize this and make accusations, and there's no foundation to it. If I'm going to make an accusation, I'm going to publicly post the documents that support it. It's that simple. Everybody's looking for, oh, you did something wrong. It's about, you did this wrong. You did that wrong. This is about fixing government, not attacking your neighbors. And I know folks say, we destroyed the county. No, you folks are destroying each other.
Right.
Amen.
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 The accusations, as Mr. Cole has pointed out numerous times, have flung around here, but they're selectively posted with a narrative that absolutely blows my mind, and you people call yourselves neighbors.
You still haven't proved anything.
We'll have coffee. I've offered many times, Jake.
Offered to do what?
I'm done.
Mitch?
Ma'am, I don't know your name, when you was talking about the farm. Chrissy, you was talking about the farm. We're currently looking at different ways to constitutionally farm this farm. If you don't believe me, ask Carol. She was attending the
I have
meeting.
asked Carol.
I'm sorry?
I do talk to Carol.
Well, ask
I
her.
do understand.
Ask her, she can verify that we've been in a meeting
I do
with.
know you're working on it. I did.
Okay. Well, don't,
It's been 5 years.
again, when you start, don't start accusing again, so.
I'm not accusing anybody
So,
of anything.
we're still looking into ways, but we just keep running into roadblocks. I've been on the phone.
How are these other counties?
I've been on the phone with Ford County Vice Chairman trying to figure out how they're doing it. So don't, just don't, we're trying to find something, but it's a tough battle, believe me.
And something to do with that, Mitch. If they're finding a way to do it, there's no guarantee that what they're doing is correct.
Bingo.
Because I don't think what they're doing is correct. That's my professional.
I'm just trying to get ideas, not whether they're right or wrong, we're still trying to determine that. Which.
So, in everybody's brain, when you're thinking about how to properly operate this farm as a government body, you have to ask yourself the question, what is the direct use of the property? And then you have to ask yourself, Is it a direct use or indirect use? If it's a direct use, then the county can do it if it's legal. If it's an indirect use, so if somebody else does the farming, the management, and leases it, if it is not constitutional, if the parcel does not demand tax exemption as the county can use it, then it will not ever get tax exemption as somebody indirect using it. This is new to me information. So, if anything we do on this parcel as of current, so it's been determined that generating revenue does not demand tax exemption. It is unconstitutional for leasing. It's still unconstitutional for leasing for a private purpose. We have to find a public purpose lease. The land has to directly be used for a public purpose, not subsidiary use like revenue. Revenue, we have determined, does not demand tax exemption. So revenue does not allow somebody else to use it. Even though they're a tax exempt, they're a public purpose entity, since they are not directly using the property in their public service, it's an unconstitutional. Anyway, so for example, when a company owns buses, when the county owns buses and the company operates those buses, that is a public service. That property is directly used for public service. It's direct use. And that private entity, whether it's profitable or non-profitable, they can lease it, but the property of the county is in a direct use of public service. Everything else, basically unconstitutional. Public body comment. Ma'am.
Did I misunderstand, but back when the dive team stepped down and you had your 6 or 7 days where you came to an agreement and Austin sat with you or stood with you, he agreed that it was a good agreement, you two agreed to it, or everybody agreed to it, Austin comes in here, and then he agrees to it with you, he walks in here, and one by one, everybody stepped down.
Mm-hmm.
Is that my recollection, that Austin Pritchard, the leader of the dive team, who should be the liaison between the county board and the divers, and he's the one that agreed with you that that's a good agreement, then he came right in here and said no. Is that my recollection?
He wasn't objecting, remember?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. He agreed to the agreement.
Okay, question answered, affirmative. Public body comment. Any other questions?
Clapped that the resolution passed.
All right, public body comment. John?
Bobby, I got a question. You were talking about the farm.
Come on, I have John over here.
You can review the video. They clapped when the resolution passed. And then they all had their prepared statements and decided to quit and then blame it on county board members. Blame any not wanting to provide for the citizens on the board members. If they cared about the residents, they wouldn't have quit. If they cared, if somebody was in the middle of the river that could have walked out because it was shallow enough, they wouldn't have quit. If they cared about people on the lake, they wouldn't have quit. If they cared about the dive team, they would not have quit after the county board appeased the dive team commander and changed the resolution in favor of what the dive team commander wanted. And then I think he showed up at that meeting knowing they were going to all resign anyway, no matter what happened. But that's what happened. They all quit. They abandoned the public. That's all I have. Thanks.
Ma'am, you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question about the farm you're talking about the tax exempt part. So if they lease it out to John Doe over here, and he farms it, can't, from the proceeds of the farm, pay the taxes?
No, see, the issue is, if we can't farm the farm because we cannot demand a tax exemption by doing that process, in other words, we can't be profitable, the county, okay, therefore, that's a direct use. So if the county engages in a farming practice, that's a direct use. That has been determined that it does not demand a tax exemption. Therefore, indirect use, which would be your John Doe farmer, it's the same story. It's an indirect attempt of doing something, the same thing the board cannot do. Furthermore, if a farmer leases the property, they they require basically the closure of the property, because they're going to put their crop on it, and that's for them to profit off of. So that's a private engagement. So the private engagement of a farmer leasing property closes off the property from public access. So that's why the public purpose part of it is basically Achilles' heel.
Well, I know you guys had mentioned something about doing stuff with the FFA. How did that get turned down?
The local FFAs?
I just remember it was in discussion about trying to find a way to do for public.
Mm-hmm.
And the mention of the FFA came up, and never anything else after that. So was it investigated, was it
So a
checked out?
couple of years ago, former board member Dave Ogden and current member Schuff engaged, I assume, didn't you engage several?
Well, we got a hold of private trying to create a pilot program template.
Yeah.
And Dave went to Shelbyville School to see if they'd be interested. They didn't say yes, they didn't say no.
So
They
it's
did
not,
public plots or whatever.
so it's not been approached since then?
I'm sorry?
It's not been approached or offered since then?
I was getting ready to do that, and I called Dave and said, who's your contact person out there? And then I had talked to somebody else, I can't remember. Can't remember who it was. Maybe it was you. I don't remember. I've talked to so many people on this issue, but Shelbyville gave up their ag plots last year, the year before. So they're not farming their plots, what makes me think I want to farm Shelby County. So I think that door is closed.
Wouldn't we have to offer it to all the schools?
Well, and the issue with the
Then there are
FFA,
weak schools. I mean, it doesn't have
Right.
to be Shelbyville.
Right.
but it would, if there's going to be schools not involved, it would,
It's a nightmare.
the administrative nightmare that would be, year over year, this school's going to be involved, that school's not going to be. This school takes the obligation, or say half the schools take the obligation, and then half of those schools actually follow through with their obligation because of X, Y, Z reason. 200 acres is not a small thing to, undertake. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a big farmer or a little farmer, it's still an undertaking to do. So the coordination and the obligation, we've already seen it here with the school, or with the farm out here north of town, that if they've already dissolved that farm situation for the FFA chapter. There is still some lingering ideas out there, and I'm still in communications with some education-based entities, but I'm not ready to relinquish any of that information until they are willing to come to the table and talk.
That was my question.
And really about the only entity that could functionally use it is an educational base
That's why I was asking, so like Finley could do it this year, and we could do it the next year. I mean, the different schools have it, let them know, this is your year, your year's next year, or something like that.
Yeah.
be public based.
I have a question with that, with the different schools. Do they have to do those farming during school hours? Does that have to be done during school hours? Because
see-
there's no way a kid from Owego could drive to Shelby County or to Shelbyville, do their farming during a class period or even a half day probably. Or
See-
Oconee or somewhere like that. They couldn't get here.
Right. So let me go back to the direct use of the property. So if the FFA chapter is going to farm it for profit, that's the same as us farming it for profit. Okay. They need to use the property for educational purposes. This is not an FFA chapter thing. This isn't even a county thing. This is much bigger, much broader. Because for an entity to hold a piece of property for educational purposes, for example, just using the FFA because they've been a hot button topic, when they do their soil CDEs, they can go out and dig pits. They can use different pits different times of the year for their educational purposes. They can use it for plant identification, weed identification, or insect, trees, forestry, et cetera, but the holding of the property itself has got to be somewhat centralized, otherwise it's going to be a nightmare. And this is what came up in conversation about 3 or 4 years ago, is working out something locally may or may not be really functionally feasible. So anyway, we're moving on. We're moving forward with some ideas, and Mark's had his hand up forever, so I'll turn the floor over.
You've covered most of it, so that's fine.
Hey, Bobby.
Talking.
I've been informed that the Shelbyville FFA still farms their Kenneth Deal ag plots. There's been no change with the Shelbyville ag plot management.
No change with it?
And that's coming from the school board president.
So what did they do with it last year? Because they did something with it. I saw they had something up for bid.
Didn't they cash rent it?
Their names are still out there. I mean, I can ask her if that's what she said, but there's not been any change.
Well, they did some ground out last year.
Yeah, they cash it.
So anyhow, public body comment. Public body comment. Public body comment. Clay.
This will just be more questions, but has anybody seen what's going on in other countries, like Germany, France, and when these farmers are making huge protests where they're shutting these farms down? Has anybody else seen that besides me? Or Now that's very disturbing. And I know I hear we're in the Corn Belt, and we got FFAs all over this county, and they're going to share like Christian kind of share with them some of the people that live in them. But we're in the Farm Belt here, and the FFAs, they're kind of curricular and extracurricular. So they have a little bit of money, but they're constantly trying to make money. They'll serve at these banquets and stuff. The kids, they do different things. They have petting zoos. They do things to raise money. But it seems funny to me that we're in the middle of the Corn Belt, and FFA has to be funded by donations. And this farm here is sitting here, 200 some acres, 234 acres. Why does it even have to? Why can't they have a piece of property? They have a piece of property over there, and that would be in their location. Why does everybody think we have to have this one piece of property? Why couldn't it be in their location? Why couldn't it be 20 acres here and 20 acres there, or whatever they can use? It seems funny to me, especially that they're trying to shut farming down all over the place, and we go along with all this BS, all these windmills and these solar panels. I used to think they was a great idea. They're not, and they're always they want to shut down farming. They're always coming down on farming. These kids can learn these farming practices that are more, forgiving to the ground. But we should be looking into, preserving the soil, building up the ground. I've seen people do it. Both my grandpas built soil. I mean, it was amazing what they did with poor ground. And but we better figure something out, because farming could come under attack by our own government. It could happen. It's already happening all over the world. Is that kind of stuff that's going over in Europe, it's going to happen to us someday as well. Think about it.
Public body comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Sonny Ross, Windsor. I've sat quiet for a long time. I've been a punching bag for roughly 6 months. I haven't personally received them, but you can go online. There's been death threats towards me. No one seemed to have a problem with that except for a few select friends. I did take it up with the sheriff. We looked into it. It did not rise, and I agree wholeheartedly with the sheriff that it did not rise to criminal offense of a death threat, so nothing was done. I appreciate the sheriff's help with that. I've been called a liar right there where Mr. Brown's sitting. I was accused of inappropriately touching my foster children in front of my foster child, which is not a foster child. She's an adopted child. Adopted, foster, biological, it doesn't matter. If you've had one, they're all the same.
Amen.
Completely inappropriate, completely uncalled for.
Right.
Just, you know, I bring my 11-year-old child, I bring my 14-year-old child. They want to come here. They want to learn and understand what's going on and why that's criminal. I've been accused of being a child abuser for bringing a child to a board meeting. People are allowed today to just make whatever accusation they want to make, and I don't have a right or an ability to defend myself, and it's ridiculous. I'm an elected official, I get it. I can't do anything on social media without someone attacking it. I've had attacks from this county towards a business in another county. I've had people try to rally together boycotts against my business. A dear friend of mine has come under heat in different times. This is crazy. And, you know, I'm teaching my children to stand up for themselves and to stand up for their family. And adults in the room can't keep their mouths shut long enough for an 11-year-old, 12-year-old to say something. Where are we? Where are we? My last daughter that stood up, 14 years old, she got heckled as well. Is this where we're at? I mean, are you okay with this?
Mr. Chairman.
And why am I not to bring them here?
I'm sorry.
You mentioned you bring hams in a courtroom. I'm sorry. We are in a courtroom. Cat should be
He has sat here very quietly and listened to everybody. I think you could give him the same common decency. People even interrupted his daughter, and his other daughter's been here. What are you teaching kids? You want them to be respectable when they grow up? Please treat them as you would want to be treated. Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. It's just sad. It's sad and it's quite ridiculous, just to be honest with you. I've been accused of inappropriately making keys and illegally entering the dive shed and stealing Wex cards. I've been accused of stealing county-owned property. And the county board tries to take action to investigate that, and there's this massive outcry from the public not to investigate it. I say bring it on. Investigate me. I have nothing to hide. You want to call ISP? I'll get you the phone number. I didn't do anything wrong. And just because you want to sit in the pews and you want to hurl bombs doesn't mean you're telling the truth. I did not do everything right with regards to the dive team. It's difficult for people to let someone talk, and you wonder why I don't talk. My dear friend has told me to keep my mouth shut, but I'm disobeying her and her, so y'all just have to love me anyway.
You go, Sonny.
Listen, I didn't do everything right. I know that. Okay? I had all the right intentions, but it didn't matter. I still did a few things wrong, and it blew up. Now, if anybody in this room or online or anywhere in the United States thinks for 1 second that this is what I wanted, you are sadly mistaken. I got on this board, and if the chairman is honest, he will tell you that I wanted to help the rescue squad, and I wanted to help the dive team. Now, my little girls want to cook supper, and sometimes they mess that up. But it don't mean we stop them from trying. I messed it up. I get it. I've tried to make an amends for that. We passed a resolution. We've done everything we have. I've still been in communication. And there's still questions about tort immunity. There's still questions about workers' compensation insurance. And we're trying to work through those. I failed on July 18th in failing to have on the agenda the board chairman to appoint the commander. That was a failure. I didn't realize it until we got in executive session and it was pointed out that we were going to leave July 18th and there still wasn't going to be a dive team because the board chairman couldn't do anything about it. We finagled an amendment, which I was wholeheartedly in favor of. And we passed it. The board passed it unanimously. The crowd cheered. I thought, this is great. Everyone's happy. But because I refused to resign for my failures, they walked out. Now, I have never said that I was perfect. I've never said I didn't fail. But if we kick everybody out of here for every time they trip and fall down, there's not going to be anybody sitting at these chairs.
Amen.
And people want to know why nobody runs in these races to be on this board. Why would anybody want to sit here and be a punching bag for 6 months?
Amen.
It makes no sense. Go back and watch the tape. I begged the commander to not resign. He was the last person to resign. I begged him not to resign because with him in place, we had a path forward. As it is right now, the resolution we can't have a commander anyway because the board chair doesn't have the ability to appoint a commander. Has anybody even thought about that? You want to yell and throw stones, but have you even read the resolution to realize that we have a problem because we were trying to fix the mess? No, there's still a problem. I'm just tired of the name calling and accusations hurled. This has got to stop. It's got to stop. I've kept quiet because at no point in any of the process, at no point did I want Austin Pritchard removed as commander. I wanted him to stay as commander. I understand where he come from, seeing he didn't agree with that. I acknowledge that was a mistake of mine. I've tried to apologize and make amends for that. There was a lot of things going on real fast. I screwed up. And I apologize to the board, to the county. I'm not leaving public safety. I'm not leaving the board. This is not about I'm more important than anybody else. This is about I was elected to this board And I know about public safety. I have a desire to help the rescue squad and the dive team, and I can best do that suited in the seat that I'm at. So if anybody wants to talk to me one-on-one, I'm happy to talk to them. But this nonsense and these child abuse accusations and these "you're a liar" accusations and "you're a thief" and "you stole county property," it's got to stop. I appreciate you allowing me freedom, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Public body comment.
Just a question.
Oh, you had your hand up.
Yeah, we'll save that. I just have a question. This problem with the resolution that does not allow the board chairman to appoint a dive team commander for our dive team, is that something?
It's being taken up in public safety.
Okay, I was going to ask if legislative could be any help, but.
We're taking it up in public safety, and we will very likely run it through legislation for approval to go to, and make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's crossed.
We are at your disposal.
Public body comment? Public body comment? Public body comment?
Yeah, I'd like to say just one more thing.
Ma'am.
I listened to
Ma'am.
what someone
Ma'am.
said.
You've already been
No, this is
addressed.
a compliment to you guys. I
Okay.
appreciate him actually saying that. What I think part of the problem also is miscommunication. Things isn't getting out to the public, so therefore we're only seeing part of the picture. And that's why I was asking about the farm, because the last thing we heard was, they're going to sell the farm, they want to sell the farm. Well, now I hear that you guys are still working on it. Great, let us know. Well, we're still working on it. Come up with this roadblock, but we're still working on it. I didn't hear anything about Sonny's, any kind of abuse stuff. I don't know anything about that, but I appreciate him saying that kind of stuff. Well, not the nasty stuff, but you know what I'm saying. Just be a little bit more open with this, I guess.
So there's a lot of new faces on both sides of the bar here. And I will tell you, about 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, we went through this same exact conversation with the prior board. Mark and I did a bunch of research. There's a couple other board members that did a bunch of research into the whole situation. And basically, we've been rehashing the same thing for about 4 years, and it's really unfortunate that we're still here. But, you know, and quite frankly, there's one little sliver of idea out there that's still possible, but the overall 99.9% me is saying that there is no legal constitutional reason for us to own the property.
I wasn't talking just the farm.
I know.
I was talking in general.
But, and then, you know, these conversations, they have spanned across a couple of different boards. And like I said, the landscape of the faces on both sides, whether you're on the board or in the gallery, what's agonizing, and I do believe Jeremy was the last public body comment question. What's agonizing in this whole situation is we've argued the farm for 4 years. We've had this dive thing for 7 months. We've had other issues, and we've never resolved things from 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, there is very little that's gotten resolved in the last 3 or 4 years. And what's agonizing is when all we do is debate the farm, we get nothing else done. Virtually nothing else done. Because it takes an absorbent amount of manpower just to concentrate on keeping everything on straight and narrow while we're arguing about something else. You know, I'll call it a smoke screen, but there's a lot of smoke screens that have been flying for the last 12 months. You know, all the hoopla about actually it's really confusion on the the state's attorney versus the assistant state's attorney versus a special prosecutor, where's that money going? You know, that's just, that whole thing for better part of 4 or 5 months wasn't even board business. So it's just taking mental time and mental capacity out of people that it's really not necessary. And we've done this for years and years and years now, and it's, the people are going to suffer, and they still are suffering. But I will say this. If there's anything we've learned from this whole dive thing, it's that we inherited problems, we're still inheriting problems, and we're still trying to fix problems, and when we try to fix them, we get kicked in the face. And that's the agonizing part. We try to fix things, and we get kicked, and kicked, and kicked. Tim?
See, I was really hoping you were going to say that we need to be kind. If we would have come to this and approached it differently, I don't think this would still be a problem.
Or prioritize.
Well,
But Tim, I asked, where were we not kind?
hold
Where was
on,
the
hold
board
on,
not
hold on,
kind?
Martha.
Where was the board not kind?
We've gone through what the board
I'm tired of being
did. We
accused of
can
not
only
being-
act legislatively in so many ways. We did that. We acted legislatively and got kicked, literally, right in the gut. So I just ask that the board members keep their chin up and keep working in your appropriate divisions and areas, and we'll keep working on the solutions. There's plenty more problems, and we'll keep moving forward. Anyway, I had one more public body comment. I don't think I had anybody's hand up. Clay?
I think confession and repentance is a good thing, and I like what Sonny had to say. But you know, we all make mistakes, like he said. And, you know, and everybody's made a mistake in this whole thing. We got to admit that. You know, when people confess and repent, we can all do that. You don't have to be a Christian to do that. You can do that and be a secular person as well.
Well, there's one thing I'd like to make a comment to Sonny's comment is if errors were made, however they were made, so be it. But like I said earlier, it's what you know when you know it. And if what you know right now is contradictory to everything you thought you knew, then you have to act in the respect of safety to the public, the people themselves, the entire county, and the risk involved. And if that's what you know at that point in time, it is what it is. So anyway, I digress on that. We've beat a bunch of time on this. So any other public body comment? Can we get here? No? Okay. I thought I saw it flicker over here in the corner. Public body comment? Once, twice, 3 times.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, seconded by Lori. All in favor say aye. Aye. Be safe.